Joining us right now is a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia. Senator, thank you for being here. What is your reaction to this new allegation?
Kate, it's completely consistent with other material that the committee had available to us and other witnesses who have come forward who have shared their own experiences, their direct knowledge of this situation with committee members. Now, many of them have been too afraid to go public, but Danielle Hegseth, who I did not know, not met her, not talked to her until I saw this affidavit yesterday, her account is very consistent with other accounts we're hearing. And that's why we are encouraging our colleagues, don't rush on this one. We think this latest confirmation of erratic and irresponsible behavior by Pete Hegseth would make him very, very dangerous as a Secretary of Defense, and we need to get to the bottom of these allegations before we try to rush a confirmation vote.
I want to remind people of some of your line of questioning of Pete Hegseth that got a lot of attention when it happened during his confirmation hearing. Let me play this.
Did you ever engage in any acts of physical violence against any of your wives?
Senator, absolutely not.
But you would agree with me that if someone had committed physical violence against a spouse, that would be disqualifying to serve as Secretary of Defense, correct?
Senator, absolutely not have I ever done that.
You would agree that that would be a disqualifying offense, would you not?
Senator, you're talking about a hypothetical.
Pete Hegseth denies that allegation, denies this new allegation. You said it was confirmation of behavior. Samantha Hegseth, the ex-wife in question with this affidavit, told NBC News, "There was no physical abuse in my marriage. This is the only further statement I will make." What do you do with that, Senator?
Well, she said physical abuse. She didn't say there was no abuse. There's all kinds of abuse. People who undergo abuse by a spouse are very aware that abuse can come in many forms. The affidavit alleges physical abuse. Samantha Hegseth says there was no physical abuse, but she characterized it that way in her affidavit. What we have is this. We have a Secretary of Defense who 2 marriages broke up because of serial infidelity. He would not say spousal abuse was a disqualifying offense. That was an easy question, Kate. I asked him if a sexual assault would be a disqualifying offense. He would not say that it was. I asked him whether publicly being impaired at the workplace because of alcohol would be a disqualifying offense. He would not say it was. When you ask somebody a question that's very simple about something that should be a disqualifying offense and they won't agree that it is, then it makes you go back and look at the allegations made against that individual. We got to take these things seriously. This is not a minor post, and the witnesses' categorical denials, which are frankly in contrast with what we're hearing from witnesses, and his refusal to acknowledge that these serious kinds of allegations would be disqualifying if true, should make the senators really take the time before they vote on confirmation. The Republicans are trying to rush this through potentially over the weekend. Don't rush it. Take a look at this and see whether this is an individual who's fit to lead the strongest military in the world.
Do you have any sense yet that this is swaying any Republicans to oppose Hegseth in terms of his full vote?
Kate, I can't really speak for my Republican colleagues. I do know this: a number have said that they would support him unless other allegations come out, and they've qualified their support based on the record as it is. Well, this latest report, and I believe there could well be others, because what happens is when you have a hearing like this and somebody denies behavior, folks watching the hearing who are aware of the behavior then start to come forward. Well, wait a minute. But you denied something that I know to be true. I think that's why Danielle Hegseth came forward. Again, I don't know her and I've not spoken with her, but why would this affidavit be filed now? She saw Hegseth deny that he had ever done anything wrong, but then refused to say it would be disqualifying if he had. That's why she's come forward, and I think there might be others as well.
Also, we have learned, again, considering the committee you sit on and what you cover, we've learned that the Commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard was just fired, removed, and the way it's described as over leadership deficiencies and operational failures. A DHS official told CNN that Admiral Linda Fagan's, quote, failure to address border security threats and excessive focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion policies is also what led to it. What's your reaction to this news?
I'm very troubled by it and other moves that the president is taking with the military in the first day or so. You saw the president was really focused on a day one activity of removing the portrait of General Mark Milley, who was the previous head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He wanted to remove that portrait from the walls of other heads of the Joint Chiefs of the Pentagon. That was important for him to do on day one. Remember, this was a president who was the only president that I'm aware of who ever vetoed a defense bill. He vetoed a defense bill in 2020 because he didn't like renaming bases that had been named after Confederates. So he didn't like rewriting history, but then on his first day, he wanted to rewrite history by removing General Milley's portrait. I think that the firing of the head of the Coast Guard, other actions that he's taking, the Hegseth nomination demonstrate a desire to politicize the military. The nation's military should not be politicized.
You talked to my colleague Manu Raju about all of the pardons that are happening, and it caught my attention. You said that you were disappointed over President Biden's preemptive pardons in his final minutes of several of his families. Do you think that move by Biden eliminated the moral high ground over criticizing Donald Trump's pardons of January 6th defendants?
Kate, I was disappointed. I don't think you should pardon family members. I didn't think you should have pardoned Hunter or family members. There's a difference between preferential treatment for family and condoning criminality. You know where I'm standing. Right behind me here, and just down 1 or 2 levels, is the Delaware door, where a friend of mine, Howie Liebengood, who is a Virginian, worked here as a Capitol police officer for 15 years after having grown up in the building. His dad was the sergeant at arms. He was here on January 6th. After the attack on this place that had been a pillar of his life, he used his service revolver to die by suicide a couple of days after the attack because of the attackers that Donald Trump unleashed on this place. The fact that he would pardon people who were responsible for my friend, who was a Virginian's death, so many of them who committed criminal behavior, just condones future criminality. I wasn't happy with the Biden family pardons, but they are they're infinitely different and of lesser magnitude than the pardons of January 6 protesters who attacked this democracy because President Trump urged them to.
Senator Tim Kaine, thank you for coming in.